Hello and welcome. I'm Suma Katauka and you are watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. A British man who drove into pedestrians and stabbed a security guard outside a Manchester synagogue has been shot dead by police, prompting British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to reinforce security at synagogues nationwide and British government to vow to fight anti-Semitism. The Israeli military has intercepted and boarded the Marinette, believed to be the last remaining flotilla still sailing to Gaza as part of the global Smooth flotilla. The interception has sparked global protests in many countries, including Italy and Turkey, amid rising diplomatic tensions. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has said that Cairo, along with Qatar and Turkey, is pressing Hamas to accept President Donald Trump's ceasefire plan to end the nearly two-year war in Gaza. The proposal unveiled by the White House this week calls for a hostage prisoner exchange, Israeli withdrawal, Hamas disarmament, among other demands. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar has rejected US President Donald Trump's 20-point Gaza plan, stating that the plan published on Monday differs from the draft proposed by Muslim-majority countries earlier. Trump's plan aims to end the Israel-Hamas war, but Dar has emphasized that significant changes were made without their consent. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has announced that he will not use Article 49.3 of the Constitution to pass the budget without a parliamentary vote, insisting lawmakers must reach a compromise. Prime Minister has stressed that in a recently renewed parliament reflecting France's diversity, forcing legislation is no longer acceptable. Russia has launched a massive overnight attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure using 381 drones and 35 missiles targeting key gas facilities in Kharkiv and Poltava regions. According to Ukrainian Energy Ministry, the attack struck several regions in eastern Ukraine, but authorities have not yet released details on the damage caused. A Finnish district court has dismissed the case against the captain and two officers of the Eagle's oil tanker, ruled to have no jurisdiction over the 2024 Baltic Sea cable breach. The crew pleaded not guilty, claiming a technical fault caused the anchor to drop unnoticed, further complicating efforts to prove the criminal intent. Vietnam's death toll from Typhoon Boi has now risen to 51 people, with 14 still missing and some 164 injured, as the central bank urges banks to support affected businesses, according to local government reports. While the storm has caused an estimated $603 million in damage. Now we move on. The Israeli military has intercepted and boarded the last Marinette, believed to be the last remaining ship still sailing to Gaza as part of the global Smooth flotilla. Crew members were seen on the live stream holding up signs aboard the ship saying they spotted warships approaching shortly before Israeli soldiers boarded the vessel. Israel has faced international condemnation and protests since its military intercepted almost all of about 40 boats in a flotilla carrying aid to Gaza and took captive of more than 450 foreign activists, including Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg and former Barcelona mayor Ada Colau. The Global Smooth Flotilla, the organizer of the voyage, has said that on X that more than 450 volunteers had been detained. Earlier, it said some of them were transferred to one large cargo vessel before being taken ashore. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Aharon Levarko. He's an Israeli journalist, joins us live from Netanya. Thank you very much for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, what do you think this flotilla has achieved, and what do you think their aim was, and what do you think it could not or it has not achieved?
Yeah, they were the questions that you've asked, and you pretty much covered all of the main questions. Look, I think the main things. I think both sides have kind of come out in a positive light. For example, the flotillas, I mean, they knew what they were doing by coming into territory that was they were told they could not come into. They were told that Israel would be taking care of the aid getting into Gaza, which we have been doing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tons of food has been going in. But I think one of their main goals is that they wanted international attention. And that certainly is what they've got, because on most of the boats, they had videos, they had equipment, and they have been able to get that attention, public recognition. And on the Israeli side, the Navy, they arrested them peacefully. There was no damage done to any of the boats. There was no injury done. Israel had to be very careful because in 2010-11, there were flotillas that came with weapons. And so Israel were very cautious. So as I say, that the Navy, they did everything peacefully. It took a long time, approximately 40 ships or boats, and no one was hurt. They've been detained. So yeah, I think it's kind of a positive outcome, although the people on the flotilla would be upset, disappointed that they weren't able to get the food and the aid through, which they say was one of their goals. On the Israeli side, they were concerned that that some of the people were acting as agents for Hamas. Whether that's true or not, I do not know. But that seems to me the outcome of it, and I think it's going to boil down, and I think it's going to be business as usual. And thankfully, no one was injured.
Yes, we know that everybody was safe, and now I think they are in Israel. So how does this Israeli military's interception of the global smooth flotilla align with Israel's broader strategy or protecting the maritime of Israel? And what messaging does this send to international community?
Well, everyone has their border laws, including Israel, and I did mention what happened in 2010-11, where many people were killed. So I think it's another message that we are taking care of the borders, we are taking care of the aid. And I know that there is propaganda and news saying that we are not taking care of the aid, but the statistics and the history speak for themselves. It's undisputable the amount of food that has gone into Gaza. Now, what has happened with that food is not our responsibility totally, because Hamas takes some of that food and either sells it or keeps it away from some of the people. But that's another issue. The issue that you've asked about is the flotillas, the borders, the maritime of Israel. It sends a message that, we will have zero tolerance, like any normal country, of anyone coming into your borders. And I think we've got every right to check and to see who and what is coming into our borders, and we will act decisively, just like any other country in the world would do the same.
And since Aaron, you are in Israel, can you tell us how is this flotilla news covered over there by Israeli media?
Yeah, it's one of the major news items in the last 24 hours, for sure. It was practically an all-night operation. It took our Navy. And as I said, there were about approximately 40 boats and ships to deal with, and it's not so easy. And there's the risk factor, the danger factor. So all of these issues were covered extensively through media. I think they were probably the number one major news article, right from left wing, right wing, central. An absolutely important piece of news. And as I say, thankfully, no one was injured.
Yes, and Aaron, what has been Israel public's reaction about foreign activists, such as high-profile figures like Greta Thunberg and Ada Colau? How do you think, how is this affecting our domestic views on Gaza blockade or the flotilla?
Well, one of the things is historically we've allowed people to come, we've allowed people to protest. We are a democracy and there is freedom of speech. One of the problems is that we have discovered, especially in the last 2 years since October the 7th, 2023, that there have been people coming in who have been operatives of Hamas. They have been pro-Hamas and anti-Israel, and that's again that there's freedom to be against our nation, to be against our policies. Many Israelis are against our government's decisions, but when it comes to supporting terrorist organizations like Hamas, that will and has and will cross every red line. Hamas are a terrorist organization, so we will not tolerate people that supports a terrorist organization.
And Aaron, lastly, so in light of this flotillas and Samud, do you think that there will be other flotillas following this? And do you think that this will be just a reoccurrence of something similar we'll be seeing?
Well, that's really up to these people who lead it, like Greta from Sweden. You know, they will have to strategize and ask themselves, is it worth it? Is it worth the cost? The cost of bringing food this way? Could they find another way of bringing food? And is that their real motive in coming? To bring food or to cause an international cessation and stir up the situation here? You know, you and the international community can be the judge of what their true motives are. But I wouldn't be surprised in the future if they came up with another plan, they sent more people back. But as I say, they're going to have to weigh up the cost, the time, and whether this has been worth it before they make another decision.
Thank you very much, Aaron, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you. And now we stay on this topic as Israel's offensive in Gaza City continues. Videos and reports coming in from the enclave show Palestinians fleeing the city. Some in transit, others sheltering in makeshift camps. This comes after Israel issued a final call for residents to evacuate as its military operation expands in the north. According to reports, Israel has told the population of Gaza City to head south as it mounts one of the biggest offensives of the war this month, vying to root out Hamas fighters in what it says are their last base stations in Gaza's biggest urban area. The United Nations estimates that about 600,000 to 700,000 people are still inside Gaza City, after up to 400,000 fled in the past few weeks as Israeli forces had advanced, destroying buildings in their path. Let's now take a look at what a displaced Palestinian from Jabalia has said.
عشان الصيف بتضلها دبان وشوب وغير هيك فيش فراش الأولاد على الأرض بتناموا بصحوا من الفجر ما بيصدقوا النهار يطلعوا يروحوا على البحر من شدة الشوب والحرارة بصحوا يقولوا لهم ماما بدنا ناكل إيش في أكل مش عارفين إيش نعمل زهقنا من الليل هاي شوف كيف الفراش ما فيش يعني منفس، كله شوب، تقول احنا قاعدين في وادي غير صالح للسكن. هذا طفل ايش ذنبه ينقطع من الحليب؟ ايش ذنبه يعيش العيشه هيك؟ عيشة انه طفل لسه عمره 4 شهور ويصير عنده سوء تغذيه. يعني مين ما شاف الولد بيحكي لي قد ايه عمره، كم عمره، بيحزن عليه انه يصير حلول، لانه سنتين. يعني ايش بتحكي لك؟ اللي استشهد اللي مات هو اللي ارتاح، احنا كل يوم بنموت.
Now we welcome back Aaron Levarko. He's an Israeli journalist, joins us live from Netanya, Israel. Thank you very much, Aaron, for staying with us. Now, since Israel has asked the Palestinians to flee to south, can you tell us, for our viewers and us, can you tell us how far is it, and is it smooth for them to flee to where in the south that they are supposed to be going?
Well, obviously it's a mess. It's a very horrible thing that Hamas has created on October the 7th, and I'm not going to candy coat the situation. This is all because of October the 7th. Hamas waged a war on us. Let's not forget, an army of about 5,000, 6,000 terrorists crossed over our borders early morning, and they massacred 1,200 of our people, and they kidnapped 250 of our people. They waged a war on us, and we have been trying to take out these terrorists. As a reminder, Hamas are breaking all international laws by firing at us. They've continued to fire, and they still continue to fire from civilian places, which according to international law, wherever they fire from, that means that the other side have the right to retaliate. Now, we don't want to kill the Palestinian people, so we are asking them to move, and we are trying to help move them. And it's a tragedy. It's a mess. It's almost like the analogy of a doctor having to surgically remove something deep within, but to do that he has to open up and dig deeper, and it's a very messy, bloody situation, and that's the situation here. So no, it's not easy. It's been a long, hot summer. And many of these people's homes have been destroyed, and it's a tragedy. This war is a tragedy, and it will continue to be until either Hamas has been eliminated, or, as Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have said, hand back our hostages, we will let you leave, and we will not assassinate you in the countries where you flee to. They have an option. Today, right this second, the war could be over, and these people will not have to leave. So that's the situation, and it's really in Hamas's hands. And if they don't make the right decisions, then this will continue until they are eliminated, and the threat of Israel has been taken out of the way.
And Alon, thank you for sharing that. Are people in Israel optimistic about reaching a deal, or are they optimistic about getting their families, hostages back?
No, they are not. I'm very sad to say. Hamas have hardened their hearts time and time again. The mood is that they're not going to agree. I hope we are wrong. I hope Hamas agrees. Then the war's over. Our hostages will, our captives will come home to their families and put an end to this nightmare. But like I said, we're not very optimistic. Hamas are a very stubborn guerrilla warfare terror organization, But let's hope. There is always hope, but the time is running out. Donald Trump has given them a time limit, and but I wish I could say we're optimistic, but you never know. Let's hope.
And you mentioned that they're pessimistic, or is many people are pessimistic. So what's next if this hostage deal, or this deal that's in the table now, is not reached?
Yeah. Well, actually, firstly, I didn't actually use the word and say Israel is pessimistic. I'm basically just saying we're not optimistic based on the history of Hamas, where they'll say one thing and then they'll change their mind, or they will put something on the table that's just totally unrealistic. So, and that crushes any form of optimism. Listen, we've got up, let's say 10, maximum 20 living captives that are still being held. We've got to be optimistic. We've got to, we can't let go of that hope. Now, if Hamas does not agree, if this war continues, well, it's very clear what's going to happen is that Israel will continue to drop leaflets to the Palestinian people, telling them to move south, to get out of harm's way, which, by the way, is proof that this is not a genocide, right? That's clear proof. If it was a genocide, then we wouldn't drop leaflets. We would just go in and slaughter everyone. So any accusation of genocide is just nonsense. But we will continue to drop leaflets. We will continue to warn people to get out. And then we will use our military intelligence to root out all of the Hamas operatives and soldiers. And we believe that there's approximately still about 3,000, up to 3,000. And a lot of them are not seasoned senior Hamas fighters. They are new. They've joined up. So they're not the most trained and expert soldiers. However, they are an organization that are willing to die for their beliefs and their cause. And that's a very difficult war to play with and to fight with. So if they refuse to hand over the hostages and agree to leave Gaza, this will go on, and it will probably continue to be a bloody battle. And the Palestinian people who are not involved with using weapons, they will continue to suffer because of Hamas's hardness and refusal to give up the captives and leave.
And Alon, if you can tell us, so who, since we know that some of Hamas leaders were killed while in negotiations in Doha, so who is making decisions for this ceasefire now, or this agreement now in Hamas? Do they have like a particular person? Do they have a proper leadership?
Well, it's actually not fully confirmed who was taken out and who was not taken out. Of course, Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian Authority leader, who is not a part of Hamas, he's the recognized political leader of the Palestinian people. But directly dealing with Hamas, they have a number of people in Doha. They have they are obviously going underground because of the threat on their lives. Although Israel has promised that we will not strike them again in Qatar, so they are probably a small group of maybe up to 5, 10, 12, something like that. And they are running the shots. They are getting funded by the Iranians and by the Qataris. The Qataris themselves are actually funding them. So this is a very delicate issue, the leadership of Hamas, who have found a safe haven in Doha, Qatar. Of course, their lives were, some of them were spared, but Donald Trump has made it clear that he's put a program, a plan on the table, which practically all the Muslim Arab nations have agreed to. Turkey have agreed to it. Most of the international leaders have agreed to it, but Hamas have not agreed to it yet. We'll see. I think the next 24, 48 hours will be crucial. It's going to go one way or another, and I hope, along with most Israelis, that it will finish. It will be over with. We will get our captives home, and then we can start to build a future for the Palestinian people. And that also was put on the table, and that also was agreed to. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alon, for joining us and sharing your insight throughout this topic and joining us in NewsX World. Now we move on to Europe. Luxembourg's Grand Duke Henry is set to abdicate the throne, ending a 25-year reign and passing the sovereignty to his eldest son, Guillaume. The ceremony will be held at the Grand Ducal Palace, after which the new Grand Duke will swear an oath before Luxembourg's parliament. As Grand Duke Guillaume assumes the throne, Luxembourg Prime Minister Luc Freden has remarked that he will bring a new style to the monarchy while also ensuring continuity with past leaders. The Luxembourg Prime Minister has also noted that the ceremony is a historic moment and will be marked by the attendance of leaders from neighboring European nations. Let's listen in. Now we move on. Moreover, residents and businesses leaders in Luxembourg have welcomed the change, expressing excitement about the public festivities and celebrations surrounding the new Grand Duke's accession. Many have highlighted the sense of continuity and stability provided by the Grand Duke. Let's listen in.
Et le Luxembourg a connu un essor fabuleux depuis 50 ans. On pourrait dire depuis 100 ans, quand on sait qu'au 19e siècle, les gens ont quitté ce pays parce qu'il n'y avait pas à manger. Ils allaient aux États-Unis, ils allaient au Brésil. Quand on voit ce que ce pays est devenu, et c'est jamais gagné, ça recommence tous les jours, la bataille, mais quand on voit que c'est devenu, la famille grand-ducale a joué un grand rôle dans ce succès.
Pour vous?
Oh, je pense que c'est vraiment une continuité. Une continuité qui justement participe au vivre ensemble, rassemble quand même le pays, puisque le grand-duc est apolitique et continuera de l'être, bien sûr.
Meanwhile, the new Grand Duke Guillaume has outlined his priorities for the future. He has highlighted the challenges of climate change, rising geopolitical tensions, economic uncertainties, and has stressed the continued importance of multilateral cooperation. The new Grand Duke also aims to continue his father's legacy while bringing a modern, open approach to the sovereignty of Luxembourg. Now we move on. A fire has broken out at Chevron's El Segundo refinery, that is one of the largest on the U.S. West Coast. Prompting a swift emergency response, the blaze erupted in a unit known as Isomax 7, which is used to convert fuel oil into jet fuel. Thick smoke and flames were seen billowing into the air from nearby streets, but officials say that the fire was quickly contained so that single area. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported. Emergency crews responded promptly to the scene, and the situation is now under control. The refinery, located just outside Los Angeles, plays a major role in regional fuel production. In response to the fire, oil prices climbed about 1% as markets reacted to potential supply concerns. Authorities continue to monitor the site for any further risks. Now we stay in North America. Clashes have erupted in Mexico City on the anniversary of a deadly 1968 protest, with some demonstrators throwing Molotov cocktails at riot police. On October 2, 1968, security forces had opened fire on student demonstrators, killing at least 300 people. The incident came to be known as the Tlatelolco massacre and remains a touchstone of Mexican politics. Thousands in Mexico have marched behind Comite 68 banners, with veterans of the movement leading columns into the city center. Some demonstrators have said that instances of vandalism and clashes that broke out have distorted the march's aim of defending the right to protest without repression.
Pues sí, una de las luchas del 68 fue ese, el manifestarnos, el ganar, manifestarnos y que nos repriman, pero creo que están equivocando porque hacen destrozos, están desvirtuando lo que es el movimiento, a mi parecer. Porque nuestra lucha tuvo un origen por la lucha por las libertades democráticas y hemos apoyado a todos los movimientos sociales que se han desarrollado a lo largo de la historia desde entonces hasta la fecha. Entonces es importante porque es para preservar la memoria. El derecho humano a la memoria es el hecho más importante para que no se vuelvan a cometer atrocidades como este genocidio del 2 de octubre aquí en la Plaza de las Tres Culturas.
This is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.